Kaylin Swart. Welcome to On the Whistle podcast. We are so thrilled to have you. You're our first World Cup participant to appear post the 2023 tournament. Kaylin, I've got to start by asking you, what an event. I mean, for women's sport, it was just phenomenal, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, it was great. But firstly, thanks for having me on the show. It's obviously an honor. But yeah, like the World Cup has been crazy. I mean, every day it was, like the day before was more exciting than ever. And, it was just mind blowing actually to see how much we've grown. Like, obviously from 2019 till now, it was such a massive event. And I think 2019 was big, but this one was massive. Like, it was huge. I think it also just shows how much we've put into the women's game. And but yeah, every day was awesome. It was, yeah, I literally loved my dream, so it was amazing to be a part of it.
Yeah, but not just your dream. I think you lived a lot of our dreams, really. And I'm kind of starting at the end, but I want you to talk about that game against Italy, because I was watching at home. I was saying on the podcast, part of my other job is I'm a yoga teacher, and I was actually doing a headstand when the second goal came, and I fell because I got so excited and I almost broke my neck because I was like, "Oh my God, we've scored! We've scored!" Just what did that feel like? And of course, then to win the game, which was even bigger. Like, how did you feel?
Sometimes people ask me this question all the time, but it's so hard to explain like what you feel in the moment, because you're so present, you literally don't think about anything. And I feel like it's such an out of body experience, really, because like you're living in the moment, but yet your mind obviously goes to, the excitement part and like, the thrill of it. And yeah, it was a crazy game. I mean, for us to go up to, and when they obviously scored early from the penalty, obviously that was a punch in the gut. But I think the fact that we showed so much character and like we literally rose to the occasion, and I don't think anyone expected us to come back like that. And obviously when we scored and they equalized so late in the game, it was a tough couple minutes to recenter and like just make sure that we still stuck in the game. And because there was so much more for us to give, even though it was the 60th 70th minute, but the fact that we fought until the dying end just showed like that we wanted it more. Like we knew that what if we can achieve this massive milestone for us, and also just to tick off our objectives coming into the tournament. It was obviously to go into the next round. But when we played, I think it was more about the game against Argentina, which was more the toughest pill to swallow, because if we had won that, Italy wouldn't have been such a high game. So yeah, but the Italy game was crazy, and the fact that we scored so late, and and for us to hold them so well for 15 extra minutes was madness. And like still like just thinking about it now, it's like, wow, we actually did that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're speaking about that Argentina game, and I guess that one was the really early in the morning one. So a lot of us didn't wake up at 2 a.m. But we saw the highlights, and the two goals Argentina put past you looked like goals that pretty much no one could stop. They were really, really good goals. Did it feel like that? Did it feel like, wow, these goals are good?
When we went into that game, there were so many things that, that we were thinking about and what the outcome could have been, but or what it could be. But I think also we just focused on ourselves, really. Like this whole tournament, like all we did was focus on ourselves, because we knew exactly what it was going to take for us to get to the next round. And I think our performance against Sweden really set us up pretty well for the tournament, because I mean, we literally went pound to pound against Sweden. I mean, it was just unfortunate that we lost that game. But going into Argentina was obviously, we thought that this was our chance to get 3 points and whatnot. But we have to give credit to Argentina. I mean, those two goals were pretty much they were like professional, like well taken goals, you know. So yes, people would say, oh, I could have done better, but if you look at how those goals were executed, there's really no, you can't really say anything else but credit them for, you know, those clinical finishes. But you know, when we finished that game, it was like we literally tried, we gave everything in that match. And I think leaving that field, I think we all felt so defeated, because that was the one that we really wanted, you know, like that was the 3 points we wanted. But it was obviously going to Italy, we knew we needed to forget about it and, you know, dust ourselves off. And those couple of days after the Argentina game, training was just so different. So I think we all, so we all kind of knew that, you know, this is our moment. Like we can really, like, you know, upset Italy and, you know, surprise the world. So yeah, I think it was just a collective effort, and, you know, just us all coming together and just, you know, showing our character and just showing the hard work that we've put in, you know, over the last, you know, couple of years or so, and also the weeks coming into the tournament was crazy. Our mentality was so different. Like, this was probably the best we've been in a very long time. And I think our coach will say that too.
Yeah. You say the training was different. Was it more relaxed or more clinical?
No, it was relaxed, but everyone was just, we were workhorses. Like we just, whatever they threw at us, we just took it, even though it made us mad, we just took whatever they gave us. And, you know, we just tried to execute everything to the best of our ability. And I think that's also what led us to where we got to, because like every day, everyone bought in. Like we knew that it's going to take all of us. And I think it was just the excitement, but also the fact that everyone was willing to work hard and give everything. I think that was really something that even I'm sure a lot of the, you know, this backroom staff will also say, like, just the atmosphere was just different. Like we knew what was at stake, and I think we all really wanted it. So yeah, we were mentality monsters. We literally took over Liverpool Tantra.
Nice. And can I ask you about those crowds? I mean, we haven't really seen crowds like this for a women's event. And you guys played in front of, I think, 50,000 people in that Netherlands match. And a lot of them were shouting for you, I imagine. What did that feel like? Was it pressure? Was it fun?
I think that for me is probably one of my core memories from the tournament. Is just the fact that we had, you know, near sellout crowds for our game. And, you know, like we actually realized that people actually wanted to watch us, you know, like they actually wanted to come out to the stadiums and watch us. I had one of my friends she was in Brisbane, and she did everything she could to make it to Sydney to get to our game. So things like that. And like, you know, people that didn't know us, you know, wanted to see us and wanted to watch us. So, you know, playing in crowds like that was honestly probably the best feeling in the world, only because, you know, women's football, yes, it's growing, but the fact that we had such huge crowds, I mean, the Netherlands game was massive. The fact that we had almost 46,000 people watching us. And, you know, most of our games were pretty close to sellouts from where we played. So it was unreal. Like there's just no better thing to witness than to have, you know, a stadium full of people watching you play.
Yeah, and I guess it was the same throughout the tournament for a lot of the teams, but especially the underdogs. So I want to ask you about our African sisters. You know, we all cheered Nigeria so hard, Morocco so hard, even Zambia at the end. How did you feel watching those guys progress? I mean, you know them well. You've played them at the AFCON, and I don't know whether you like them, even though they're your opposition. But I mean, did it feel good?
No, it felt great, because, you know, we were really putting Africa out there. Like we really showed what, you know, the African teams are made of. And I think the underdog title is not a bad thing. You know, I think we really rose to the occasion, and now I think they'll respect us more, you know. And I think that's also something that we've gained from this tournament, was the respect that we well deserved. Because I mean, all of us representing Africa, we're all pretty good nations, we're good teams. And I think Nigeria really showed themselves against England. I think that was their their statement game. And obviously for us against Italy, Morocco, yes, they didn't start well, but the fact that they ended with a win and, try to, really show up against France. But, those are things that people are going to remember. We obviously did Africa proud, and, we have AFCON next year. So that's where we get to shine again as, proud Africans and, just show our flag again. But yeah, it was massive. Obviously Zambia didn't go as far as they wanted to, but I think all of us really showed what we've been capable of doing. And I think it's not the last time that, they'll see us at the big stage. Obviously Olympics is coming up, and that's obviously something that we really want to, perform at too. So yeah, God willing, it all works out, for Paris next year. But yeah, everyone's pretty excited for it. But yeah, no, the African team, we really showed ourselves this year.
Yeah, and I guess now it's kind of like the what next, right? Because everything's gone so well. We're all so excited. But now, we've heard lots of your teammates talking about the need for a professional league. We've heard Zizi Kodwa, the Minister of Sport, speak about it. For you, what is the next step that football has to take in Africa and in South Africa so that you can qualify for the next World Cup? Hopefully we host the next World Cup, and so that you can go even further.
Well, for us, especially for us in South Africa, a professional league is what we need. Like, it's not a want anymore. That's something that we need only just to elevate our sport again. Yes, it's okay for us to compete at the national level and whatnot, but if our domestic league is competitive and, we are playing twice, 3 times a week or twice a week, it will just benefit a lot, because now, then the gap will be lessened between us and the players playing abroad, so I think professionalizing our league will just give us more focus, because obviously a lot of us are working, so we're not full-time athletes. So if they professionalize the league, I think a lot of our focus will be purely on football and, enabling, for us to, be better athletes, better players, and, just have the resources to make ourselves better. So yeah, that will definitely be a massive boost for the national team, because then, the junior teams will benefit too, because, we'll have youngsters coming into the league, and who knows, if the league professional, maybe people would want to come and play in South Africa, so that would also be something that, some athletes will look at and be like, what, let's go play in South Africa, because, it's a beautiful country, but also the fact that we have so much talent in our country. I think if they professionalize it, I mean, we can attract, these players abroad, and hopefully, it'd be good enough for our players to come back. And, so that will only benefit the national team massively, but also for us as individuals. Like, none of us want to work. Like, I'd love to play football all day, every day, and, going to training whenever I want to. So yeah, that would obviously be the dream in the near future. But yeah, I think that would be, I hope that's a priority for our federation right now.
Yeah, so you mentioned yourself, you've obviously got another job. What's that job?
Yeah, so I work at a school. My school's actually, we're on a break right now, so midterm break. But yeah, I work at Saheti School out in Linksfield. It's a Greek school, and I literally do whatever. Like, I coach all sports. I help the teachers if they need to.
Sure.
So yeah, I work right through the day, and obviously I do like private lessons now and then with kids, just for some extra money, just to compensate, the hours of, with football is not, obviously, it's not enough to, you just live
not
off.
even
So,
with
yeah.
your prize money now that you guys are getting an extra boost.
No, that's the thing. Like, obviously you want, stable income, and so obviously I have to work. Like, that's not something that, I want to do, but I have to, just to, sustain myself. But yeah, like, obviously I would love to play professionally. Like, I would love to call myself a professional. I tell people I'm a full-time worker, I'm a part-time footballer.
Okay, it's so strange, because our listeners, and a lot of them will be based overseas, will be hearing the story, and it's almost not going to make sense to them to hear like a World Cup player saying, I've got a job, I need to earn money, I can't play professionally. And it all speaks to like the structures of the way football is run in this country. So things have improved. And can you tell me, from the time you started, and I mean, I know you started playing very young, to now, has it improved enough? Or like, what tangible thing can you say has changed? Although I don't know if it has that much, because you say you still have another job.
Yeah, I mean, obviously when I started playing competitive football was obviously started in high school, when I went to the boarding school at High Performance Centre in Pretoria at Tux. And at the time, the only league that was available for us to play was obviously Sasol League. It's been around for what, 10 plus years or so. And the Sasol League was obviously the biggest league to play in back in high school. And it's people was not getting paid. We were playing, we obviously go to school, you train at night, or sometimes teams don't even train, they just pitch up on a Saturday and we play. So yeah, a lot has changed obviously now with the Hollywood Bet Super League. It's massive for us as a country, but it's still not enough for us to deem it as a professional league. I would say it's semi-pro, an amateur league, just so it's crazy to think how far we've come, yet there's still so much more to do. And I think the first year the league started, we weren't we obviously were getting money for transport to get to training and stuff like that, so there's just a little stipend. And we were traveling by bus to games, and sometimes we'll jump in our cars and try and get everyone in. And so yeah, it's a massive difference now, because obviously we fly to different cities now, but it's still not enough, because sometimes we have to fly on the day because there's not enough money to or you travel by bus on the same day, travel early in the morning, just because there's not enough money to accommodate us, the night before and things like that. So yeah, obviously the clubs try their utmost best to provide the necessities, but I must say JVW is trying really hard to make us to make us feel like professionals, even though it's hard, because we're an independent club, and obviously a lot of the things, like a lot of the money and financial stability comes from a little bit of sponsors or donors and stuff like that. So yeah, it is hard. It's hard to travel 4, 5, 6 hours on the bus and play, so yeah, like this weekend our league starts and we travel by bus and we play on the same day. So yeah, those are just some of the so that's just
that's quite a change, right? You've gone from a World Cup with 50,000 people watching you to taking a bus to, I don't know where you're going, where are you headed to this weekend?
Yeah, so yeah, it's massive. It's wild. Like just two weeks ago, we were flying to Dunedin, or we were flying to Wellington. But yeah, that's just one of the challenges that we have to face with playing here, and obviously the league not being where it needs to be. But I mean, nobody wants to drive on the same day after the game, so yeah, but I mean, it's also nice. Like it's a great feeling, because when we fly, or when things are going to be great, I think we'll look back at all of the struggles that we've had to endure, and the obstacles of driving on a bus, and not flying to different cities, or to stay the night before so you're well rested on game day. And so yeah, those are just some of the things that not many people will realize, that what we have to go through. And obviously, a lot of us have to take unpaid leave if we travel during the week. So yeah, so a lot of my teammates, we all struggle, because most of us are working. We don't have the luxury of all of us training twice a day, or training in the afternoon, having the rest of the day off. But yeah, like obviously just a little bit of my day, like if I go to school, I'm there until 3, 4, maybe 4 o'clock, depending on what event's happening. And then I have training at 6 to 9. So it's just like, yeah, so those are just some of the things, like, that myself as an individual that has to work during the day. And sometimes some of us are so exhausted when we get to training because not every day is going to be the same. So so we struggle with that a lot. But come game day, you would never say that none of us are like full-time players. Like we all obviously have a day job, and especially during the week, if we have to travel on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, those are the tough ones.
I'm sure. Yeah, absolutely.
But those are just some of the things that would be, that would fall away once, if we do become professionalized, or if most of us play abroad. That would, mean the world to us, only because then we can just focus on football and provide for our family and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you're speaking about all these challenges of actually getting to training, and then like training at your best, where you're feeling good and you're not tired. But can I also ask about like coaching and facilities? Do you think that's improved with time? And like, are you getting, obviously with Desiree, she's a wonderful coach, but at club level, do you think people are getting the best coaches? Are they getting the best type of facilities to train at, the best resources, the best balls, or, that sort of thing?
Obviously some clubs are more privileged than the others, especially with funding and, the financial strength that some clubs have. And I think across the board, no, it's not enough. It's not the best resources for us to perform at our best level, at our best. But, obviously some clubs use what they have, and, the likes of Sundowns and TS Galaxy, they have the resources to, have the best facilities, or, the best travel accommodation and stuff like that. But I mean, once you get on the field, we're all equal, so that's the great part about football. Like, no matter where you come from, what you have to endure, once you hit those 4 lines, everyone's, fighting for one goal, which is to win the game, or, to be a champion, or to just play the game we love. And all of those things fall away once you're playing. So only afterwards you realize, damn, I wish we had this. I wish we had that.
I'm sure.
But the facilities, I think that's also something that needs a massive improvement. It's just, the adequate field, and, the level of what the fields look like, and, the conditions they're in. Sometimes we play at stadiums where the grass is hella long. And then, we get to stadiums where there's no locker room, or there's a small locker room. So there's a lot of things that go into it. But so obviously some clubs have what it takes to provide these things for their players. But some of us, we just roll with the punches.
Yeah, I mean, I asked you the facilities thing specifically because of obviously what happened pre the tournament, and I don't know how much you can say on that. From the outside, we saw that there was a pitch provided that you girls didn't want to play on, and understandably so. Did that affect you? Did you feel like, oh, we're going to the World Cup, we haven't even played our warm-up game, like, what are we going to do?
I wouldn't say affect us, but obviously we had the thought of it in the back of our minds. It was like, obviously this is a game that we need to play to be ready, but we weren't ready to compromise our health and safety, and also the fact that we knew, and we respected ourselves to know that we expected better than that, and a lot of it was, just the equal treatment. Like, that's all we wanted. Like, we always said, like, if the boys won't do it, why do we have to do it? So so a lot of it was just us not feeling respected, and we felt disrespected, because obviously the field wasn't the greatest, and also the fact that a lot of the PSL games were banned from using that stadium. So, like, the fact that they thought it was okay for us to play on that field was obviously something that we were not happy with. So it was just about us being respected as, athletes, and, playing for the national team. Like, you want to be treated as a professional, and we just thought that wasn't what we were getting. And I think it was, we needed to take a stand, whether it was for that or anything else, just to show that, you know, we're going to try and do everything we can now for the next generation to benefit from. Because if we come back in 10 years and it's still the same, then what have we done? You know, so if it means us standing up for a little bit of the, you know, the benefits that we deserve, then who knows, maybe it will help the next generation. Because I mean, if we have to take the stand now for them to be better, then I think we'll continue to do that.
Yeah, I mean, did it feel risky? Because did you kind of wonder, oh, are we going to get to this World Cup if we do this? Or are we going to be left at home and they send another team? Or, you know, it must have felt quite scary.
Yeah, I mean, I won't lie, like a lot of us had that feeling of, wow, like, yes, what we're doing is big, it's massive, but I mean, I don't think any of us really thought about the consequences. Only because we were so in the moment, because we knew that if we stood tall and we fought for what is right and what we deserve, then if we have to go down this way, then so be it. But, you know, so we really just took a stand. And the thing is, what was beautiful about it, yes, it was bad in other people's eyes, but the fact that we stood together and we knew what we were doing, like we knew what we were fighting for, and the fact that we fought 23 strong, like we knew that if we stuck together, no one can break us. And I think that transcended into the field, because if you think about our chemistry and our bond is right now, it's probably the strongest it's ever been. Like nothing will break us, and that's what we showed. Like, because we were so tired of being stepped on for so many years, and, you know, not being heard, and, you know, we were fighting losing battles. But I think now they really see that, you know, this team is not to be messed with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and then you speak about that team unity, and we saw you guys loving each other's success, you know, celebrating your goals with some very interesting moves out there. But I wonder for you personally, I mean, obviously you started all the games, and you must have really felt proud of yourself for that. But was there a sense that people are talking about, should it be you or should it be Andile Dlamini, or like, did you feel like I'm competing with her, or is she your mate?
No, that's the beauty of it. Like, we are pretty good friends. We are competitors I mean, we're fighting for the same position.
Sure.
And I mean, we've been together for many, many years. Like, we've been together since the U-20 national team. So we've always been competitors. Like, as much as we were friends, we've always been competing for one position. But I mean, none of us really were focused on that. We just did what we needed to do, and in the end, it was a coach's decision. And I mean, yes, of course, I'm proud of myself for, you know, donning the jersey and starting every game. But for me, I also just said, like, hard work pays off, and like I worked super hard for, you know, this World Cup, only because I knew that I had it in me. Like, I don't know, a lot of people don't know, but a year and a half ago, I wanted to quit. Like, I wanted to give up football. Yeah. And I just thought, like, you know, if I just find the love and, you know, find my passion again and just have fun with it, then who knows what can happen. And yeah, I think this World Cup obviously was a testimony to all the hard work that I've put in the last year or so, just to get myself back to where I was. And you know, because I did have a dip in form for a little bit, and obviously in that moment is when I wanted to just give up football and, you know, continue with my day job and just go on with life. But yeah, I think also in the end, like I said, it's the coach's decision, and, you know, she put a lot of faith in me. And yes, I had some, you know, bad criticism and all of that, but I mean, it just fueled me. It just made me, you know, even stronger as a person, as a player. But yeah, I'm happy that, you know, we qualified for the next round, and I had a hand in that. And obviously, yeah, so I think we all worked hard, and we deserve to be where we are now.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty difficult being a goalkeeper, right? Because oftentimes in the game, you'll have one or two or three jobs, And if you mess up one of those, all eyes are on you. You know, like think about Mary Earps and that penalty in the final. So, like, how did you deal with it? Did you read the papers? Did you listen to things? Did you shut it out? Like, how did you approach the game?
Well, obviously after the game against Sweden, that was our first game. That's when all the the criticism started, and people were saying, "Oh, I'm not good enough, and I shouldn't be starting." And it was that night after the game when I realized that obviously social media is never nice, but obviously now I'm on the wrong, like the bad end of it, and I just stepped away from it. I deleted it. I didn't want to be part of it. I just thought that if I step away from it, it will just help me mentally, and I wouldn't have to be bothered, worry about what people are saying about me, because I knew I was strong, but now I'm stronger for it. Like mentally, like yes, it was tough. There were some nights where, I was struggling, like, so just the thoughts going through my head, like, oh, what are people thinking about me? But then again, I knew what my purpose was and what I worked towards. So yeah, I just stepped away from it and I deleted it, and I couldn't care less after, throughout the tournament. And I must credit my teammates for, isolating me from it, because I think it was a day or two in after the Sweden game was when they realized, oh, these things are pretty personal now. Like, it's getting bad. And I think they realized that I stepped away from social media. And so they never really came to me with anything. So, I mean, I must credit them also for, being by my side and, not pondering on the things that they were saying about me or the team. So yeah, it was probably the toughest moment for me, especially in my career, just dealing with all of that, what comes with social media. Sometimes you're a hero, sometimes you're a zero, but that's what the goalkeeper's life is. And I mean, I guess I chose this position for a reason, but not knowing that I'd be, at the end of, bad criticism and just, the nasty comments that I received from, people that claim to, watch or know women's football. But in the end, I always said, like, they don't pay my bills, so I don't really care what they have to say about me, because if they can do better in my position, then they should be where I am. So yeah, I think that's also just my mentality that I built over the year or so, because I went through a really tough time mentally, where I just didn't want to do anything anymore. And yeah, so I've built enough tools in my mind to really like block out the noise and stuff like that. So yeah, it really helped me. And I mean, I just showed up every day, whether people said I'm bad or I'm good. I don't really care, because every day at training, I showed up. I did what I needed to do. I fought for my country. I mean, we qualified for, around the 16. We beat Italy. So what more do I need to, worry about, than other than the fact that what we went there for, we achieved. And yes, against Netherlands, I think we could have gotten an edge over them. But obviously those two injuries really derailed the team quite a bit. But I mean, we showed ourselves until the last minute, and yeah, like, mistakes happen. It happens to the best of us, but how we bounce back after every mistake is obviously also just shows the character that we built within the team, and the faith and the belief that we have in each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And you spoke quite a lot about that kind of mental side of it, but just from a technical perspective, I mean, in New Zealand, it was quite wet, and I mean, I know the New Zealand winter is not a very pleasant thing. And then conditions would have changed a bit in Australia. Did you have to change anything technically just to deal with the way that play flowed? And was that quite interesting to go through as a process?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, when you play at home, like, it doesn't really rain as often as, it was in New Zealand. And a lot of the training was altered towards the situation of if it's drenching, like if the field is drenched or if it's just nonstop rain. So yeah, we really trained to every situation that we were going to encounter. And I must obviously give credit to the coaches for, dealing with that, and obviously dealing with our mood swings whenever, things weren't going our way. But I think the weather was crazy. Like one of the games, it was hailing, like we were standing. Yeah, so the weather was terrible, but it was such a great experience, because I don't think we'll experience anything like that back here, in our country. And but yeah, every training session was, tailored to what was going to happen on the day, or weather wise and stuff like that. If it was, and obviously when we got to Sydney, it was hot and it was sunny, and it was so foreign to us. We were like, wow, there's a sun. Because all our weeks in Wellington, it was just gloomy and rainy
and windy, hey,
and so it was just bad weather throughout our time in Wellington. But literally when we got to Sydney, we couldn't believe that the sun exists, because it felt so foreign to us that we were so excited that it was so hot. But yeah, those are the things that obviously you have to deal with as, playing at an elite level, is just adapting to the environment and, making sure that you do what it takes to, to prepare you for it, because obviously you don't want to be blindsided by anything. So yeah, I think those are just some of the things that we try to, use to our advantage, was just trying to adapt as fast as we could.
Yeah, and given that you've now gone through this journey, and I mean, I imagine that Morocco next year is not going to be raining in July or whenever they choose to host that tournament. Do you feel like you're in the best place you could be to go and defend that AFCON title? And I mean, you've seen the other teams. Morocco themselves are coming for you guys. What still needs to happen, and who should we be looking out for?
Yes, I do think we're ready. Obviously, next AFCON will be totally different. Like it would be bigger and better than the previous one. Only because I think a lot of us has grown over this last year, and obviously we saw what Nigeria was capable of doing. We fought until the very end. We gave a big account of ourselves to where we are as a nation. But obviously Morocco, Zambia, everyone's going to come for us. Like now, if we're the team to beat now, I love that title, because that's what we want. We want people to see us as, a powerhouse in Africa. So yeah, if it means bigger and better competition, then I think it will just be a bigger and better tournament. So yeah, that would be massive. And yeah, everyone's gonna come for us, but we're gonna come for them too, because that would be great to be named, back-to-back African champs. Like that would be a huge, huge achievement for us as as Banyana, but also for the federation, just to, to see us. And I think whenever our backs are against the wall, we're always gonna perform. And that's the thing. That's the greatest thing about this team. Like no matter what is thrown at us, we can always look, think outside of the box to how we can, overcome these things. But yeah, I think also as players, we've grown so much. We are better individuals, and obviously together as a team, when we'll come back together to prepare for AFCON next year, I think it will be even better than what we showed this year.
Yeah, it sounds like you're ready. You can go play it next week if we asked you to. But can I ask about kind of just your favorite opposition, or I mean, if you could pick one moment out of the last 18 months, I mean, AFCON champions, round of 16 at the World Cup, who's been the toughest you've played against to get there, and what's been your best moment?
The toughest was definitely Sweden. Obviously, they were taller and bigger than us, and I mean, I'm not the tallest goalkeeper, but the fact that I was able to compete with these, 2 meters of, sheer goddess of females that came on.
They are tall girls, that's for sure.
Yeah. So no, I think that was definitely the toughest one. But also, I think Argentina, only because there was so much pressure put on that game that, I think it was hard for us to really block out that pressure that we're feeling to win, the pressure of us having to win. I think that was probably the toughest one. But I think my greatest game was, I would say, Italy. But I think because we won and the manner we won, that obviously that will stick with me forever. But I think I had my best game against the Netherlands. Yes, obviously the mistake is what's going to hinder in people's minds and take away from everything else that I've done in that game. But for me personally, I think the Netherlands game was probably my best game, only because it was around the 16, that there wasn't the weather that was playing a part of, the rain and
there were
stuff
a
like.
few great saves as well, right? I mean, you pulled off a few there that were amazing.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, when the pressure is not as high, I think that's when we perform at our best. But also, like I said, the injuries definitely took the sting out of the game. But I think for us, our best game was definitely Italy.
Yeah, I think we would all agree with that. And for you, what's next? I mean, I know you said you're working and you're playing, and I mean, you're still young, so you've probably got at least another World Cup in you, right? Like, I mean, you must be targeting that, surely. Where do you see things going in the next few years?
I don't know if I have another World Cup in me, but I think right now, I think it's just focusing on the league and trying to finish as best as I can with JVW. Obviously, we would love to win the league in the second round. But obviously, it's going to take a lot more than just me saving goals. And so my strikers are ready to put in some big goals for the team. But I think now it's just focusing on the league and making sure, I perform at my best for JVW. And hopefully, we qualify for the Olympics and AFCON. So those are obviously now in the near future things that I need to tick off. But for me personally, I just want to keep growing as a person, as a player. And I don't know, people say I'm still young for a goalkeeper, but I don't know if I go another 4 years.
It's not that long, right?
No, I mean, this World Cup came by pretty fast, so who knows what happens in the next 4 years. But yeah, I'm just going to continue to do what I need to do to stay in the best shape possible, to compete at the highest level. But yeah, I'm not going to give up. I'm still going to obviously try my best to, compete and, do well for the national team. But I don't know. We'll see what happens in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and I think you'll find a lot more people will be watching and paying attention. It really ignited something in people where people want to watch and everyone wants to know what's happening next. So I guess that must feel pretty cool.
Yeah, and the thing is, obviously, we want the exposure to grow. We want, the league to be, exposed to, the whole world, not the world so per se right now, but obviously to everyone in the country to have, 1 or 2 games a week on TV, which obviously is the dream. So the more exposure we get, the better support, and, people would be following us and watching us. And who knows, hopefully we'll be able to fill the stadiums. Well, not fill it, but hopefully we have more than 200 people watching us,
Hopefully more than 200, for sure.
So those are the things that, we hope for, especially in the league here at home. So, I mean, obviously, financial investment would be massive for every club in the league. But yeah, I think just hopefully the exposure, will get, people to recognize us and hopefully see that, we are worth the investment, and, that women's football is obviously popular now, and hopefully they'll, look our way and not the men's way. But who knows what the future holds for us.
And Kaylin Swart, just before we let you go, Spain ended up as champions. If we'd said to you a month ago that's how it would have turned out, who was your money on, and were you surprised to see how well they did in the end?
Oh, I was super surprised. I thought Japan was gonna go all the way. I actually had Japan and England in my final. Like I thought, at first I was like, yeah, if not us, I mean, I guess Spain and Japan can, I mean, England and Japan can make the final. If not Banyana, why not just, throw it out there?
Yeah, I think a lot of people had Japan, yeah.
Yeah, no, Japan was definitely the team, especially after they played against Spain. I thought, oh, this is a Japan we saw many years ago, being on top of the game and just gliding through, everyone. But yeah, I was actually very surprised at Spain, but not really, because I think the Spanish have just grown a lot. They've won under 17, under 20 World Cups. Like that alone tells you how much growth there is in their game, and obviously their league is thriving. So those are the things that a lot of countries need to look into, is the development and also the domestic leagues. Like, there's a reason why England is doing so well. Their league is thriving. If you look at France, Spain, Japan, all these nations, they have massive leagues and there's massive investment. And if you think about how much Spain has grown over the last couple of years, that's a testimony to, what the federation is doing and how much money they're pumping into it. So yeah, they definitely blueprint right now. But I mean, England played so well throughout the tournament. Yes, they didn't have the greatest start, but they showed why they are where they are. And I was pretty sad for England, only because I follow the league so closely, and I love English football. So yeah, it feels like I know a lot of these players only because like I follow so much of the game. And when we played against the Netherlands, one of my mates, I've grown to, build a friendship with, was Jackie Groenen, because we've played the Dutch so much over the, 5, 6, 7 years that, you see these players every day, you start to, become friends with these players, and everyone was like, how do you know her? I was like, asking my friend. So, but yeah, it's just, like it's so exciting to see like how much, women's football is being exposed to, and how much it's grown. So yeah, I mean, it's sad that it's over, to just think like we were there 2 weeks ago, and yeah, we were watching the final on Sunday. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's been an amazing ride. I know. I agree with you. It is sad that it's over. It was a wonderful tournament, and yeah, thank you to you and Banyana Banyana, who really think ignited something in a lot of South Africans. So you guys really did an amazing job out there. Thank you for your time this afternoon, Kaylin.
No, thank you for having me.
We'll see you in 2027. I'm holding you to that.
Fingers crossed. We'll see.